a lot of times with the broadcast world, you get to work with, kind of more people that have less time, like, the quarterback from, the Saints, Drew Brees or something, like I've filmed with him. And, it's like he doesn't have time to sit around. It's like he comes in, you capture a scene, it happens and it's over. And it's like you got to be on the
So you
ball,
gotta
ready to
you gotta
go.
go. Welcome to another episode of the iFilmmaker podcast. My name is Ariel Martinez. Yes, we have a new set today. We have a new guest. We have David Hinrichs. Awesome guy. I've worked with him once, relatively, if you count him renting my gear one time and maybe sending out a PA for him, if that counts. But I've had him. We've met at NAB also. But before I bring him on, let me read some of his accolades over here. So his work has been featured on 30 plus television stations. He's filmed at 3 Super Bowls. I'm jealous. And 10 years in the video production industry, 5 years fully self-employed as a freelancer, has DP'd for a feature-length documentary on Booker T for A&E. So David Hinrichs, how are you, bud?
I'm great, man. How are you?
Good, man. What a mission trying to get this thing up and running. It's so funny. You would think that us doing what we do for a living, this should be a breeze for us. Setting up camera, doing a video conference call, but it wasn't. What a nightmare. That's always how things work, man, in our industry. But dude, so happy to have you on. How have you been?
Yeah, man, I'm just so grateful to be here. I look up to you in your work, and I've been following you for years, and it's just a huge honor to be on the show. So thanks for having me.
No way, dude. I'm so jealous every time I see your work. I'm like, man, this guy's doing some great stuff. I need to do more of that stuff. But no, man, it's awesome to follow your work, and it's cool that you follow mine. And I just love being able to connect and network with like-minded individuals that are doing the same work, heading in the same direction, sort of. And we could sort of learn and feed off each other, man. That's always awesome to do. And just to have conversations like this.
Absolutely. There's always something to learn and grow, and connection is everything, right? Like as a freelancer, it's everything. Who you know and who you talk to and what you learn. It's how you get better.
Definitely, for sure. So, anyways, just to get started, let's go ahead and talk about you a little bit. How did you get started with video production? You're a director of photography. It's what you do right now. You do a lot of sit-down interviews. How did you get to where you are now? You said, you mentioned it's been 10 years. You've been in the industry for 10 years, which is almost exactly how long I've been in the industry, or at least how long since I started my business. How did you get started? What was that spark that got you going?
Yeah, it was several things. They got me interested into video production, right?
Okay.
Music was one. I was in a band, several different bands actually, and I started recording guitar and doing some audio recording. That was in 2005, 2006, and I had seen video growing up. My dad had a video camera, so I was around video, seeing him record things, and the guy down the street that lived down the street from me actually was in the news, and he always had a big news camera, and it always just really fascinated me seeing that. And so, I just had those, and as I got older, I was looking for something to do with my career. I was like, what do I do? So when I went to school, I was kind of navigating, and I don't know, it's like I knew I wanted to do communication, some of the communication degree. I'd kind of dabbled in advertising and radio, being with audio and everything with the music. And I just kind of found my way. It was like one thing led to another. It wasn't like one big thing happened. It was like these small steps that kind of made it. And then I decided to go into telecommunication and film in school, and did a bunch of news type work in that, and I actually shot in 4x3, which is crazy to think about now.
4x3.
Who shoots in 4x3? What is it? Like if you ask somebody now, like, what is 4x3?
What is
black and white viewfinder. I learned on a black and white viewfinder.
No.
Yep. Yeah, our cameras at school were like really ancient. They were the big news cameras.
It's
Yeah,
crazy to think that people still today use black and white viewfinders.
it is. They say that it's it's better for certain things, like for sharpness, I guess, and like
Sharpness
focusing.
and exposure,
Y-
probably. I'm
Yeah.
not. I just don't do that, so I would not know. I'm
Nope.
sure other people listening to this are probably like, these guys know nothing.
uh,
Yeah, man. So
uh,
so you started in news and broadcast, which is funny
yeah.
because I personally I have shot news and broadcast jobs. I have not liked it for the sole purpose of it's nothing, in my opinion, creative about it, right? So you're
Hmm.
broadcasting, and I'm more specifically talking about you go out to a place with a camcorder, everything's in focus, nothing cinematic about it. It's just, it's not my sort of desire to sort of capture that kind of stuff. Um, but you sort of gravitated onto different kinds of work because I don't see you doing what I'm talking about. I see you doing other stuff like sit down interviews and all that. How did you sort of transition into that? Because it's still relatively news and broadcasty, right?
Yeah, it's kind of a blend. I when I got my degree in when I got my degree in telecommunication and film, I had to decide what to do, like what direction do I head, right? So it was like go to the news station, be in a be an intern or something, or go work for an advertising agency or whatever. And I couldn't figure out what I wanted to do. It's like, well, I'll just buy a camera. Like I had some money saved, so I just bought a camera. It was like a camera recorder type kind of a thing. It had the screen that flipped out and everything. And yeah, I did that. I kind of freelanced for a while, and I got a good reel together after about a year. Just doing local stuff, right? Like just shooting like triathlons and racing events, and those jobs kind of got me hooked up with other jobs. It's like one thing led to another, and so I got a good reel together, and I got hired on as an apprentice for a director of photography, and that's when really the doors were blown wide open.
Hmm.
Yeah, that
Wow,
apprenticeship. Yeah.
that's great, and that's opened a variety of other opportunities and doors for the rest of your career.
Yeah, the apprenticeship was just amazing. I mean, because I had done more things on the local scale. Not so much of the broadcast actually. It was a lot of just kind of local, local highlight videos for events and different things and weddings, of course. And once I got in with that apprenticeship, it brought me up to a new level of doing more of the broadcast level work. Um, and just wow, I mean, it was the experience that I got doing that. You can't put a price on it. It's priceless. Yeah, it was great.
No, I could certainly relate to that. Those that have listened to my show from other earlier episodes, they know how I started with Extreme Jibs. Um, my man Ricardo was basically my mentor. He taught me a lot of stuff, so I can relate to that. And I think that's one of the things that I certainly encourage everyone that is getting started to sort of do is to find a mentor, find someone that you can get under and learn from them so that you're just not learning on your own. You have somebody explaining every aspect of what you're seeing, what you're observing, and because that is priceless.
Absolutely.
Is absolutely going to skyrocket your career in a sense of experience, knowledge, and just about everything that you're taking in.
And doing things the right way.
Oh
I mean,
yeah,
it's so easy to start doing things on your own, and you're getting the job done, but you're not. You don't have to do everything by the book. 'Cause reality is, it's kind of an art form what we do. There's a mix of art and science, but there's certain ways you got to do things a certain way. Like the key light, for instance, is going to come from the side that your interview
mm-hmm.
is looking towards, right? It's not, so
Sure.
sometimes the rules are broken, but generally that's the
Oh
case.
yeah,
Um, and that's a small example,
yeah.
but learning from someone who's experienced is really great.
No, that's I believe it's vital. It's
Oh yeah.
vital for for your career.
Mm.
If you're trying to find things out on your own and you don't have anyone to learn from, it's super vital that you do. So that's awesome, man. So you've been able to be in front of a lot of celebrities. You say you do a lot of sports related documentaries. How is that different in the sense of news and broadcast? Like, are
Mm.
these like unique stories, and you're making special interest pieces on athletes?
Yeah, a lot of work has been that. It's like kind of a blend, I would say, of there's this news aspect because it's timely, right? Because it's something that makes sense for what's happening at that moment. Um, but generally, it's kind of like a documentary too, because you're
Mm,
really just capturing these moments with with these athletes or whoever it might be. I do a lot of different documentaries, but
mhm.
it's like kind of like a feature piece, a little short feature piece, and it kind of tells you a story about that person. Um, and a lot of it's been for broadcast. Um,
Okay. Have you
yeah.
explored like doing? I'm sure you have done some sort of corporate work where it's not really documentary, but it's more commercial.
Oh yeah,
Um, and
definitely.
you
Yeah.
kept coming back to documentary, or is it like, what would you
hmm
say is your preference?
Yeah, I really like documentary. I really like being in the moment and capturing something that moves people. If I'm filming it and I feel moved, and I'm sitting there behind the camera like, whoa, this is really happening. I know that the audience is gonna feel that too. So I really live for those moments, and that's what I like about documentaries. You don't know what's gonna happen a lot of times.
Right.
That's the beauty of it.
Wouldn't that make things a little more stressful or less stressful? How
Yeah.
is that different? Like, so I'm thinking like obviously in a corporate film, and I'm going based off sort of how I've shot corporate stuff, commercial stuff. You can plan, you can foresee. In documentary, it's hard to foresee. So I know I've had to sort of train myself to anticipate things that are going to happen,
Mm-hmm.
angles that would be ideal for me to be in for this anticipated moment. you know,
Uh-huh.
so you have to get good at that, right?
Oh yeah. Yeah. Anticipation is it's a lot of it, definitely.
And every
Um,
one thing I love about it is this: it's always different. In general, whether it's documentary, commercial, whatever, it's always different. It's
oh yeah.
always an adventure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And especially, working with these athletes and people, a lot of times in the broadcast world, you get to work with, kind of more people that have less time, like, the quarterback from, the Saints, Drew Brees or something, like I've filmed with him. And, it's like he doesn't have time to sit around, it's like he comes in, you capture a scene, and it happens and it's over. And it's like you got to be on the
So you
ball,
gotta
ready to
you gotta
go.
go.
Yeah. Um,
So that's interesting. I've definitely been in that experience where I had to rush. That's a good segue into gear. How does that determine the kind of equipment that you sort of use? Because you don't have all the time in the world to set up.
yeah. So, so I invested into a really good lens.
Okay.
And I found that was vital for me with the type of work that I do. Um, and so it's a 20 to 120 millimeter lens. And so, I have so much range of any situation I'm in to cover, right? So if I'm like backed into a wall in a room in a corner, I can go wide. And then if we're, say we're in that room and then we go outside 2 minutes later, I throw some ND on and they're, off throwing a ball or something. And then I can punch in at 120 and kind of get that medium or medium close up shot. And
Mm.
so it's kind of having that variety, because sometimes I'm one man band, sometimes I've got two or three cameras. It depends. And just having that flexibility has been huge.
What factors do you go into a shoot determining whether what gear to bring? Are you sometimes you're the DP? Are you providing the lighting yourself, or are you hiring a grip?
I often provide the lighting. Yeah.
Okay.
Um, yeah, I often provide lighting. Sometimes I'll bring in a gaffer, definitely grip. It just depends on the shoot. Every shoot's different. Every
Oh,
shoot is different.
100%.
uh, and so, yeah, I just look at the situation. I always try to get as much information as possible. It's like pulling hairs sometimes to get the information you need. Yeah, just knowing what you're getting into and thinking ahead.
Man, so shooting 3 Super Bowls, incredible. I'm jealous. What is that like? What is that like from the perspective of a shooter? What was your assignment at these Super Bowls? Were they all the same? How much access did you have?
So they were all different actually.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they were all a little bit different. Um, so the first Super Bowl was in New York, and I was doing. It was actually like pregame, right? So we were out with like an NFL Hall of Famer running around the field before the game, and he was talking about the players and the game and everything like that. So it was kind of like more of a broadcast setup there, um, eh, capturing that. And then after the game, they were like, "Hey, just go out in the field and just get what you can get of like, the celebration." So the game ended, and then we ran out, and it was like a lot of slow motion shots on that at the end,
Right.
getting the trophy being held up and the confetti falling and things like that. Some more cinematography at the end, I would say, and then the second Super Bowl was most cinematography. I was on the sidelines, and I was just capturing moments, little blurbs of the game.
Oh, that must have been fun.
And it was such a thrill, and I mean, it was a dream come true. I mean,
Yeah.
when I started video production, I was doing a lot of triathlons and kind of sports related things, and it's like, I want to do a Super Bowl. That would be so cool. That would be like a highlight of the career, to just do that. And your mind tells you like, oh, that's not possible or whatever, and then to actually be there and to get there, it was like,
Yeah, I was
so
just saying
surreal.
that to myself yesterday. Yeah,
What
dude.
what happened yesterday?
No,
Just
I was just dreaming about things
dreaming
like
of
that
it.
just
Yeah.
yesterday.
It's coming, Ariel. Y'all just had a Super Bowl not too long ago, right?
Yeah, we had a Super Bowl. Uh, I got to shoot the preliminary festivities around the Super Bowl, but I didn't actually go and shoot the Super Bowl. So
And go into the game.
yeah, no, I got to shoot a couple things. A couple of clients were doing some things out here, but yeah, it was
Mm-hmm.
pretty cool. Good experience. So you shot 3 astronauts at NASA. Like, what the heck, dude? First director of photography to go to space, maybe? Is that next? What lights would you bring
Hey,
out there?
how would you hold a camera? How would that work? Like
Oh,
keeping it
man.
level, and I don't know. That'd be interesting.
I'll tell you what, it'll be the most stable shots you'll ever get. Would you even take a
Man.
gimbal out there? How would that work? Sandbags? Who needs those?
No sandbags. Uh Man, it'd be bright too, though. You need some diffusion, probably. You're really close to the sun up there. I don't know.
I have
Uh,
no idea what to expect.
that's a wild thought.
That
No,
would be wild, man.
this one time, actually twice, I got a ride in. I call it the Mars rover. It's actually called the Space Exploration Vehicle. Um, but two different times for two different shoots. We actually got to go out to the Mars. They call it the Mars Yard in the back of NASA in Houston. And we got a ride in this thing, and it was just crazy, man. It was so surreal. Like
Stop.
being on that vehicle with an astronaut and filming them. And we're climbing this hill, this like really steep hill with all these rocks. So they make this environment to look and resemble and, drive in a vehicle like Mars, right? Because they're preparing for it.
Right.
And so, we're going up this hill on this vehicle that has like 8 wheels or something. I don't know how many wheels this thing has, but the wheels are all independent and have independent
Right.
shocks and different things. It's wild. And we're going up like sideways, dude. Like I'm like looking at the camera, and like the hill is like going through the frame like 45 degrees. Um,
Wow.
and that was
Dang.
so surreal to be on that vehicle with the camera, like just thinking like, what would it be like to be the first person on Mars? Right. And like really being in that situation, like that was such an eerie feeling to think about, like, wow, to be the first person on the moon, to be the first person on Mars. Like, yeah.
I'm here thinking first camera op in outer space. That's a perfect tagline for the promo of this episode.
I like it.
Holy cow. Now, is that the same rover that actually went outer space, or is that like a practice sort of rover that they had out there? I'm pretty sure it's a practice one.
Yeah, I'm sure it's a practice one. I don't remember. That's
I'm
been a
sure
couple
it's for
years ago.
training. I'm sure it's for training purposes, but that's still
Yeah.
wild, man.
Yeah. I mean,
Man, what an experience.
any of those times, I've been to NASA, I don't know, more times than I can count. Being in Houston, there's a lot of work there, which is a blessing. It's amazing, like to go film at NASA. I mean, come on. And
Wow.
This one shoot, we went and we looked at lunar. It was actually the Genesis rock, which
Right.
is the first moon rock, I guess, or the first one of the basically from the beginning of creation. You know, one of the oldest rocks there is.
Uh-huh.
And it's just wild, man, to be with these people and these environments and these things, and it just it's humbling for sure. And man,
What's impressive is the amount of doors that are open in an industry like ours that people people don't know the opportunities that are available, the experiences, the adventure, the journey that you can probably find yourself in this industry.
Oh
That's
yeah,
incredible to think about now.
yeah, and to do some of these things, I mean, I don't even feel like it's work sometimes. I mean, sometimes
Oh
shoots are hard,
no.
of course, but it's like, gosh, going to NASA, like I should pay you. Should be paying you for that ride in that Mars rover.
All right,
No.
so Richard Branson just recently went up to space. Looks like they're going to try to make that a thing now. They're going to be taking more consumers that just want to pay. I'm pretty sure that's going to get more affordable. Let's say they approach you and say, hey, we want to make a cool promo. You're going to come up with us, take all the footage, and we're going to make a promo. What equipment do you take? How do you set that up?
Man,
That's
this
fun
is
to
wild.
think about.
This is wild, Ariel. Man, the first cameraman in space. I guess you'd have to ask a lot of questions to start with. You'd have to ask them, how much space, do I have room to bring anything? Would be the first question. What could I bring? Like, can I? I don't know. Yeah, I mean, it would depend on the project. It would depend on what there's, where's the end product going to be? Where's it going to be aired? What kind of glass? Do I want really nice glass? But my first instinct would be to go small and something that's easy and nimble. Maybe my FX3 or something smaller.
I was thinking the same exact thing. FX3.
Yeah,
For this,
I mean, it's such a solid camera and being so portable, compact.
With a pretty budget, something that you can probably I don't even know. It'd be interesting to find out if you could like rig something up onto corners or something like that. I wouldn't know what that whole thing would look like. That's such a bizarre project to think about.
It really is. It really is. Because I'm sure NASA's filmed up there. Obviously, there's plenty of footage.
It looks like GoPro footage.
Exactly. Yeah. This is a whole nother level.
If you're gonna put like a red Komodo rigged up onto a corner, you better make sure that thing's secure, man, because it's not like putting it on a car.
Who's gonna do the spacewalk? Am I gonna how does that work?
Leave the gimbal, let the camera float, and follow. Oh man, just think shooting underwater, but you don't have to worry about your equipment getting wet.
Yep, exactly. And that's how they train too, right? They train underwater.
Oh man,
pool.
So
yeah,
it's crazy. It's crazy where this conversation went to. Oh man, so feature length documentary with Booker T for A&E. You DP'd for this?
I did. Mm-hmm.
How was that?
Yeah, that was really cool. So it was a historical doc. So there was a lot of historical footage. We did a lot of interviews for that. Interviewed his wife. We interviewed Booker, obviously, his brother, and different people, and then just following Booker around to different areas and getting a sense of his life. And man, he had a rough life, man. I mean, it's amazing to hear his story. going to different parts of Houston, because he was in jail and different things. I mean, so we went to some of these areas in Houston and kind of got his, thoughts and feelings about that area growing up, and, used to be on the corner, all the craziness that goes along with the lifestyle he was living. And so did that, and then got to go and ride with him in his convertible. I don't know what kind of car it was. It was a small little car. It was so cool. This small little convertible, and we were just driving around his old hood and just getting his, and now, like I said, those are the moments where it's like, there's no retakes. Like, this is just a moment. We're capturing it. This is what happens. You get what you get. And, so we did that. And then we got these little pieces around town. We got a bunch of interviews, and then we got a lot of specialty as well. So
Right.
a lot of off speed kind of cinematic shots, reflective kind of, style.
So was this
whatnot.
sort of a biography on Booker
It
T?
was. Exactly. Yep.
We're talking about Booker T, the wrestler,
Correct.
the former wrestler, correct?
Longest
so
interview
Yeah.
I have ever done in my life. I think it was like a 8-hour interview or 9-hour interview with him.
Really?
Yeah. So.
I could beat that.
Oh yeah.
Oh, well, recently I did one for Pat Riley. Definitely the longest. It was actually no, I think no, you beat me. With Pat Riley was 5 hours. Oh, it was about the same. It was about 5 hours the first day. Second day, another 3 to 4 hours. It
Man.
was about the same.
Mm-hmm.
Holy cow.
Uh-huh.
Holy cow. That's definitely the longest. So I can relate.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like, an hour or two interview is pretty long. You get up to like 4 or 5 hours, 8
Dude.
hours. Wow.
I mean, we're talking about the main character of a feature-length documentary film.
Mm-hmm.
Just
yeah,
so
there's
anyone,
a lot of content to go
just
through.
so that for anyone listening, for the main character of a feature-length documentary film, about 5, 6, 7, 8 hours you're looking at.
Yep.
To get it all.
Yep. Definitely. I mean, there's so much to unpack, right?
Oh, I can imagine. Well, it also depends on the specifics, but yeah, there's a lot there. There's a lot there. Not only to shoot, but to edit.
Oh,
so
yeah.
you don't do editing work. You don't.
I don't.
No, but you do edit.
I do edit. Yeah.
Okay.
I prefer to not edit.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like being around people. I like being in the field.
Yeah. You do edit. If they needed you to, would you or no?
Yeah. I've actually worked on a couple like smaller projects recently where I did a little bit of the editing. And it was cool. It was fun. It's a different feeling, right? Like going and shooting it and then editing it.
Yeah.
When you get the finished product, it's a different feeling to me.
Sure.
Than handing it off and have somebody else edit it.
Different feeling how?
I think it's like the creative side.
Okay.
Because the editing is really where you tell us. I mean, you tell a story through both shooting and editing, but like
sure,
how you piece it together.
Yeah. You capture the story through the shooting. You tell the story through the editing.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. Makes sense. But editing is a whole nother monster, though.
Yeah. It's time consuming.
Oh,
it's hard to put a time on it. Like you can say you're going to get it done in a day. It might take you 3 days, as we're shooting. It's like, hey, this is what I'm doing. This is how I'm going. It's like a 10-hour day. This is it.
Yeah. I would much rather shoot an 8-hour interview than edit an 8-hour interview.
Oh gosh.
Yeah. Put it that way. See it that way. Any day.
Oh yeah. You do a lot of editing, right?
I do editing. I prefer the shooting, if I'm being frank.
Yeah.
But it's one of those things where, whoever has the budget kind of deal. If there's a budget for editing, I put it this way. I never mind the editing because I charge so much for it. Sometimes it's a deterrence tactic, but if they take it, hey, gravy, I'm making more money, But yeah, I have to. I
Yeah.
have to, because there's so many times that I've been stuck with an editing project where it's almost not even worth the money. So I've been there already. So that's why I naturally charge a lot more. And oftentimes I end up sending the footage, which is awesome. I just shoot and send off the footage, and if they accept it, great. You know,
Mm-hmm.
maybe hire somebody else to do it. But either way, it's a win-win in my book.
Yeah, and if
But
you're
it's a
accounting for your time, like you saying, like now that you're budgeting for it properly, I mean, I think that's a lot of it.
oh
So
yeah, no,
yeah.
absolutely, yeah. If they're taking it, it means that they have a really healthy budget. It's definitely worth my time. Yeah, you have to make it worthwhile. You have to,
Mm-hmm.
um, because there. I mean, you could start small when you're starting, but after a certain point, something's got to give. You can't be charging the same prices. It's always a wild adventure, kind of sifting and sort of figuring out this industry, thinking about what's next in the agenda. What is there next after shooting a few Super Bowls, shooting NASA astronauts? Um, that's why we got into the whole space shooting in outer space kind of conversation. Where do you see yourself moving toward?
Yeah,
Or
that's a
have
good
you even thought
question.
about that? That's something that I think that, a lot of people, they're pretty happy, or they're probably just too busy to even have thought about, what am I going to do in the next 5 to 10 years? Because, yeah,
Yeah,
we're
that's a good
freelancers, but
question.
we're also business owners. And
Mm-hmm.
even business owners have goals for their businesses.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I know that I don't want to be hustling the way that I was hustling 5 years ago when I'm 50, because that's, it gets tiring.
Yep.
I'm,
Yeah, it's very
I,
labor intensive, right?
oh, very, very labor intensive, and things like retirement is something that as freelancers we have to think about, you know?
Definitely. Yeah, I think that's really been hitting me actually recently. This year is like the reality
Have
of
you?
that, right?
Oh yeah.
The retirement and thinking ahead and scaling, and
Yeah. Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
yeah,
No, it's just, yeah, it's just I'm just bringing up stuff that I've sort of looking into. Don't know
yeah,
if you've been there, or you've just been too damn busy, as I have sometimes, and there's just some seasons where there's nothing else I could possibly think about than work at the moment.
hmm
I've had those, but you know, it's always something to think about.
yeah. And I think directing is very, very appealing to me because
Right.
I do love video
Yeah.
production. I love storytelling and
Sure.
filmmaking. Uh, so I think it's like diving deeper into the storytelling aspect of like
Okay. I love that.
yeah, and like maybe more personal content that I could potentially market or
Sure.
find somebody to buy into it or something.
Yeah.
I've been working on
Yeah.
a personal nature documentary, so that's been a crazy adventure, which has taught me a ton.
Oh,
Um, and so as far as storytelling goes, at least,
that's
um,
awesome. You're working on your own passion projects.
yeah, for sure. So yeah, I mean, I think
Fantastic.
directing, storytelling. Um,
Yeah, that's cool. Like at a certain
you
point,
know,
like you're not going to be the guy showing up with all the equipment. Like you have people to do
yeah,
that.
yeah. It's been busy though. It's just been it's like as you get a breath of air, and then it's like all of a sudden it's like busy again, and so
Yeah.
it's just finding the time in between to manifest that. And
Yeah, you
yeah,
gotta you gotta anticipate the seasons.
mm-hmm.
So it gets easier as the longer we do this.
Yeah,
I I just I
yeah.
just threw that I just threw that one in there, whether you were ready for that question or not.
It's
Yeah.
definitely a valid question. I mean, yeah, it's something we should all be thinking about. If you're a freelancer out there, you should be definitely thinking like, how does it sustain? I mean, not
Yeah.
just for the next 6 months or a year, but down the
Yeah.
road.
10, 15, 20 years. I
hmm
mean,
Yeah,
it'd be ideal to, I know it's easy to get caught up in the hustle that is going on right now, which is awesome. you want to do that, make sure that you're taking care of business now, but maybe have one eye toward the future, you know, to see, at least explore some different options as to what you're going to be doing later on. Because I know my back is not going to be strong forever. It's going to get weaker and weaker.
Better do that core work. Yeah, keep doing that core work.
Yeah, man, you got to keep working out.
You got an easy rig, right?
I'm sorry?
You have an easy rig, right?
I do.
Yeah, that was a game changer for me. I would not be shooting on this 20-120 without that easy rig.
No way.
Yeah.
No way. Yeah, you'll break your back easy.
Does
you
help.
can be as strong as you want, man, but after 10 minutes holding that thing, you want to put it down without an easy rig.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've done full interviews, like 1.5 hours long, even on an easy rig. That's tiring.
Oh yeah,
that's tiring for like 1.5 hours long because the client wanted it handheld.
Wow. Wow.
So even things like breathing, I got to be careful with because it moves the camera. I make sure to breathe when they're not talking.
Right.
Oh man, that's a rough one.
It's interesting too, like when you put down the camera, like, because when you're shooting, you know, you're thinking about so many different things from the camera perspective, right? And like I was saying, like maybe getting into directing or something, like when you pull away and you don't have the camera and you can look at something, you know, and you can really see it. Oh, it's really appealing to me. That's kind of cool because it's like then you can start to break into like how do I tell? I don't know. This is a different creativity to it.
Definitely. Dude, well, this was an awesome, I think, insightful episode, man. Thanks so much for coming on and sharing your career with us, dropping some knowledge over here and your experiences. I think it's definitely helping others to hear what director of photography, operators, people that just sort of do what we do, sort of discuss and just share what we know and what we've been through. And so I appreciate you coming on and sharing what you've been through.
Thank you, man. It's been a pleasure. Thanks for having me on.
Definitely. What are some what's your website? Where can people find your work?
Yeah, so joeldavidproductions.com. We'll send you my website. We've got my reel on there. Some work examples as well, my gear. And then my Instagram is jdp.video.
Very nice. We'll be putting all those links in the descriptions down below, whether you're watching this on YouTube or listening to this on iTunes or any other podcasting platform. Thank you guys for listening. Joel, thanks for stopping by. Appreciate it.
Thank you, sir.